Hello, my name is Tiffany, and I am the owner of FX Ventures. I'm here today with Joe, the Director of Technical Research, and we are here today to discuss a few of the charts over the last couple weeks of some trades that we have taken. This is just to give you guys all a little bit better understanding of how we trade and what we're looking for. To give you a little bit of background on FX Ventures, we started FX Ventures because we too were Forex traders who were really fed up with all of the signal service providers out there because of the lack of customer service, profitability, and professionalism. Many sites that we had signed up for claimed to be professional sites. However, when we asked what professionals they had on staff, they did not have any. I partnered with Joe last year as he was finishing his 5-year program to receive his CMT certification. For any of you who don't know, a CMT is the Chartered Market Technician. Currently, there's only 1,124 in the world that actually have this particular designation. So today I wanted Joe just to review a few charts of how we trade to give you a visual of what we look for. And when we're talking about cycles and bar numbers, this is just to give you an idea of how we trade. So Joe's here today and is going to pull up a couple charts and examples of trades that we've taken over the last month.
Good day, good morning, good evening, depending on where in this beautiful planet Earth you reside. My name is Joe. I'm the Director of Technical Research at FX Ventures. And as Tiffany described, we're going to go over some charts here and just kind of lay out for you folks what we're looking at, how we view the markets. And most of this stuff is going to be in past. We're not going to do any real-time stuff this morning. It's morning here in Arizona, excuse me. But we're going to start right here going back to March the 8th. The bottom numbers right here will designate the dates for you. First of all, a little bit about what we're looking for. I know Tiffany has been very diligent putting out cycles and talking about different cycle numbers, and she's gotten a lot of questions about that. During the last probably 8 to 9 months, Tiffany and I sat down and started using our experience. Both of us have over 15 years in financial market experience. And we started sitting down and trying to put together, using mathematical formulas and technical analysis, a version of where we could identify proper turning points in the markets. And having said that, and having done our due diligence on many, many different types of systems and reviewing stuff, we've come up with a 2-cycle system that we find to be very, very accurate at times. And there are challenges with the system, as with any system, given the nature of world markets, the way governments interject money. But our system has been very, very good to us, and it's been very profitable for us prior to launching our service, so that's why we brought the service to the masses. With that said, the first section of the chart I'll direct your attention to is over here where my mouse is at, starting on February the 7th into the 8th. I'm sorry, March the 7th into the 8th. Thank you, Tiffany. As you can see here from using technical analysis, I like to use the MACD, which is one of my favorite indicators of movement and strength and momentum. As you can see, the MACD was channeling pretty nicely upward, even though price was kind of flat. Price was coming up a little bit, but identified this long uptrending ascending triangle. And that broke out at point number 1. Right here. So this is the beginning of the first cycle for us. This is cycle number 1, bar number 1. And as we went through and did our calculations, we ended up with cycle bar number 9 right here, which is also beginning of the second cycle because of the strength of the bar. So as we begin this, we go up, we kind of go flat, but as you can see, the MACD continues to rise. The red line's a 13 bar moving average, the blue is a 50, and the white is a 200. I anticipated a rise to the 200, which we got, but unable to break through it. Our first cycle began at this point. We got to the 5th bar of the cycle per our calculations before it turned around. So this one did not complete a 13 bar second cycle. Normally, from our research, we found that using the hourly chart, the first cycle 1 through 9 and the second cycle of a 13 bars has a very high probability of turning around or completing. This one failed, and we're showing this only because we want you to know that no system is infallible. Now, with that said, had you received the signal and gotten in at either the first cycle beginning or the second cycle beginning, you still would have been profitable and not have lost any money, which is very key, which is loss and capital preservation. Any proper system is going to have a proper risk management associated with it, and capital preservation is huge. Let me address something while I'm talking about that. I helped Tiffany with the website. She does majority of it, but I have seen some questions and some comments from people talking about, they're looking for an income replacement. They want to quit their job. Both of us having over 30 years combined experience in this industry, folks, if that's where you're headed, I wish you all the best. But I think it was that easy, Tiffany and I would be sitting on a beach somewhere. Trading's like any other investment. You have to give it time to grow. It's not something you're going to get rich overnight with, not unless you're playing with millions and millions of dollars, which is not the typical investor. So I just want to make sure that you know that, and know that losses are part of the game. Any successful investor is going to tell you that. But the big but is, and I think this is where our system stands out, is we try to minimize those to the bare minimum. So sometimes you're going to see trades that you're going to get from us sent out where your risk may be 20 pips, which I think is almost unheard of because the services that we've used are usually 1 to 400 pips. So, okay, let's, sorry to digress. Now we're going to go back to this second section here on the chart from March 5th to the 6th. We had just come out of a second cycle completion on the 2nd of March, here designated by this 13 here. We came down and the market started to turn around right in this area here. And you can see price was headed down, but our MACD was headed up. This trade right here was the first bar of the cycle began. It came up, and at this bar right here, we identified that it had failed. But had that said, if you would have gotten in at this price here, the 132.57, the failure price here was 132.25. So once again, even though this was an unsuccessful move, you still would have been able to get out with no loss. Let's back up here now. We're going to take a look at the higher probability ones we've had. Like I said, I've showed you the 2 failures to let you know they do occur, which our system that we're using is not normally the case. I would say better than probably 60 to 70% of the time. It completes the 13s, even higher in some cases with some currency pairings. But I just wanted to make you aware that those do occur. This long red line that you see is going to be a long-term down channel line that the euro is currently in. And maybe I can switch to that. Let me switch to that right now and show you what I'm talking about, and we'll come back to this. The euro's been trending down in this double channel line for quite a while, going back to October, and this is currently where we're at. So we're looking at all these things. We look at all kinds. I look at all sorts of charts, all time frames, but I just want you to be aware that this is a long-term downtrend channel, and we'll talk about that more up here. We had just completed a 13 cycle up, and we identified the first bar of a down cycle. As you can see, it hit that long-term trend line and came down right off of it, which was a very, very nice high probability trade. Quickly went to our number 9 cycle bar to begin the second cycle. So we began the second cycle on the long candle here and completed that cycle here. So this was a successful completion, but this was a very, very, very high probability, very low risk trade that was very profitable. Now we're going to scroll back to our final look here, and you'll see some technical markings I put on the charts here. Beginning on, now this goes back to February the 21st. Beginning on the 21st, we started to make this up and down sideways movement, and you can see the symmetrical triangle here. Symmetrical triangles are usually indicative of continuations of the move, which was an up move prior to this. So watching this, we look for the break. We got a break here. We waited for the pullback. Pull back nicely to 13, and then our formula identified the first bar of our push up here to begin the first cycle. So our first cycle push up continued here. We had some nice sideways action. We kind of got ahead of ourselves to the 13. We pushed back to the 13, and bam, we began our second cycle up bar, which is identified here by our formula. Up we went. We identified our 8th cycle bar here, and then we kind of had some down to sideways movement. And this is important about the second cycle. The second cycle can come down, but will usually complete above this 8th cycle bar that we've identified. So we pushed down, we came back, and bam. This was the 13th. This was our 13th cycle bar, and if we scroll forward a couple bars, bam, you can see we started right to the downside. So, Tiffany, you got anything to add?
Yeah, just scroll this over a little bit just so they can the other direction.
This way?
No, the other way.
This way.
Just so they can see how, look at how we hit the 13 right here, and then boom, went right into the
next cycle down
and completed the 9 there. So this is just to give you a little bit of visual explanation of how we trade, and just a small sample of some webinars that will be upcoming that we'll be able to make either public on Facebook or send out to our subscribers. It is truly our company vision to be the #1 signal service provider in the world, both in profitability and in customer service. Currently, I have our Facebook page up here, and we've got 6,781 followers all around the world. And for those of you who are not current subscribers, we would love to hear from each and every one of you as to what you would need for us to provide in addition to what we're doing, or how we can get you on as a subscriber. We believe what we do is very valuable for any Forex trader, whether you're a beginner or a professional, and we would love to hear from every single one of you. I hope you all have enjoyed this little sample of a webinar from Joe and myself, and I hope to hear from you soon.